Welcome to the Humm Baby Baseball podcast,
I'm kind of a big deal.
where we talk San Francisco Giants
So you're telling me there's a chance?
and cover the latest stories in Major League Baseball.
I never heard of half of these guys.
Thanks for tuning in and enjoy the show.
What is up, everyone, and welcome to episode 1 of the Humm Baby Baseball podcast relaunch, where once a week I'm going to talk Major League Baseball, San Francisco Giants, all the stories that are going on during the week. And today we're going to focus on this story that just blew up. Every channel and their dog's channel has put up a video about realignment, expansion. A bunch of proposals are thrown out there. We're going to 32 teams. Are we going to get rid of the American League and the National League? Is it going to look like when this actually happens, and when will this actually happen? But it's kind of weird because of the way the story blew up when it's really nothing new. There's no new information. Rob Manfred talked a little bit about it in the World Series, in the Little League World Series, mentioned, hey, maybe we're going to add a couple teams. We'd like to do that soon. Yeah, this is not new news. And maybe we'll do a little bit of realignment. Well, obviously, if they add 2 new teams, there's going to be some realignment probably. I mean, there's going to be some changes and possibly drastic changes. And now everyone's throwing out their ideas, and it's just crazy how it went totally viral. Even the MLB office was surprised by the surge in expansion realignment interest. I said the MLB because it's the MLB office, so that's a noun. When I'm just saying MLB, it's just MLB. Before anyone tries to say it's not the MLB. No, I hate when people say the MLB. Super pet peeve. But I digress. The MLB office was surprised by a surge in expansion and realignment interest. And yeah, I mean, I was surprised too. Like, it went absolutely nuts on a subject that lasted 52 seconds. None of it was new information. And now everyone's talking about it. Obviously, Nashville, Salt Lake City considered frontrunners. I do want to talk about some of the other cities that, who knows, might be front runners or might end up being front runners to get a city. We can see a whole bunch here. Charlotte, North Carolina, Mexico City. I don't think it's going to be, I highly doubt Mexico City is going to be the one. Guys were getting sick. And remember when there was a road trip to Mexico City, the Padres and Giants, and there were some problems there. But yeah, I think, I'm not saying that Mexico City couldn't get a team, but I don't think it's going to be one of the 2. Montreal, I mean, yeah, I would love to see the Montreal Expos back, but they did have a team, not too long. Yeah, it's been 20 years, but maybe it's a little too soon to give them a team back when there's all these other cities. Oakland, speaking of that, Oakland, their team has still got, basically they still got some of their stuff still left behind there in Oakland. I mean, they just left. They're not even in Las Vegas. They're in Sacramento, and we're already talking about Oakland. Yeah, so Nashville, of course, one of the front runners. Portland, Oregon. Sacramento's obviously hosting the A's right now. Salt Lake, one of the big front runners. I think they'll probably get a team. San Antonio, Texas is thrown out there as a possibility. Austin, Texas, and there's so many cities that don't have a team. But I think, yeah, the front runners are probably Nashville and Salt Lake. Portland also has got a shot, but we're so far away. I mean, there's no stadium standing. I always said, if you build it, they will come. There's right now, of course, a situation with Tampa Bay, with the Tampa Bay Rays. Their stadium situation is a complete mess. We still haven't seen a stadium. I know that they've already broken ground, but until I see a stadium in Las Vegas, you never know with that situation how that's going to pan out. But it looks like they are going to be moving to Vegas and they are building that stadium. So it looks like that situation is going to fix itself. It's still going to take a couple more years. But as far as Tampa Bay, you have, of course, the Orlando's project, whatever they were called, the Orlando Dreamers for a while, and there's still no stadium there. So build a dang stadium, you'll get a team. I can almost guarantee it. MLB will make it happen. Build a freaking MLB stadium, and I know that's a risk because, like, what if you build a stadium and then the team doesn't go there? That's crazy, but I believe if you build the stadium, I know it only costs like $2 billion. I know it's not cheap, but find a way to get a stadium built, you're going to get one of those teams. You're going to get one of those teams, almost a guarantee, in my opinion, that if you build the stadium, you'll get that freaking team because you're ready to go. You got the stadium. The stadium's the hardest part, it seems like. So, yeah, expansion's going to be really interesting. Even more interesting is what are they going to do as far as realignment goes. Everyone's talking about it. I don't have a plan. It does, as kind of an old school baseball fan, it's kind of sad to think the American National League would go away, but a lot of people mention they're the same. DH is in the National League now, and the rules are the exact same across the board. What's the point? Well, the point is to have two separate leagues to play each other in the World Series. Why not continue to call them the American League and the National League? If you just make it a free-for-all and everyone play, I mean, even the NBA's got the West and the East, right? I mean, there's, the NFL's got the AFC and the NFC. So you need two different leagues so that the best of the best in each league play each other in the World Series, and I don't see why you wouldn't continue to call it the American League and the National League. So I don't really see a reason to get rid of that, and I would hate to see that happen. Jomboy here made a video where he's got supposedly the best plan for realignment, but his plan includes the shrinkage of the 162-game schedule. Now, the 162-game schedule has been around all of my life, but it's not like it's been around since the beginning of baseball. It used to be a 154-game season. Obviously, if you ask Anthony Rendon, he's going to be all for shortening the season, even though he only plays between 0 and 60 games per year, so it really shouldn't matter to him. But yeah, 162-game schedule is a beast of a schedule, and sooner or later it's probably going to change. It's probably going to get less, but by shortening that also is less games, less money, not for just for the players, but for the employees, and for the league and the owners. So I'm not sure they want to shorten the schedule. So interesting. I think the players would probably be for it because it is a beast of a freaking schedule. But let's go ahead and see what Jomboy's talking about here in this video. And I want to give some of the things that I have a problem with, some of the things I agree with, because it is pretty it's pretty extreme, some of the changes that are being recommended here by Jomboy. Let me go ahead and play this a little bit.
Schedule. If they expand to 32 teams, a lot of people are saying there's no way they do 162 game schedule. The two new teams give you way more games as a league, and it just gets really hard. And according to one longtime club executive, expansion, he said, means the end of 162 games. What I have put together is a 156 game schedule. Why 156? Because it's the perfect number. I'll tell you why right now. 156 games allows us to have an organized schedule. The schedule just got released for next year. It's insane. It makes no sense.
And he goes on to talk about how, like, he has to check every day. And I do too. I got to check every day what time the Giants are playing. But, I mean, that's pretty much the way it's always been. And just because the way something has always been doesn't mean it's the way it needs to stay. I know that that's a common thing. People say, it's always been this way. Well, it doesn't really matter if it's not the best way. I do think a little more organization would be nice, having an idea when they have it. I mean, right now, Mondays and Thursdays could be typical candidates for days off. Sunday's a good candidate for an earlier game, sometimes Saturday. I pretty much know when they're at home. The game's about 6:45. On the road, it could be anywhere. I know if they're on the East Coast, obviously the game is going to be East Coast time, so they may have a game at 7 over there. That's going to be much, much earlier as you go further west. So 7 o'clock over there, 4 o'clock on the West Coast, 7:05, 4:05. No matter what you do, it's still going to have to adjust for times because obviously the travel and the time zones are going to change depending on where you are. The game's going to start at a completely different time. So it's still going to be a little all over the place. I never really minded the season not having specific days off. Like now the minor league schedule does, and it is a little convenient. Like if it's a Monday, I know there ain't no game. They don't play on Mondays. Minor league almost never plays on Mondays. Mondays are the day off, right? Then there's a 6-game series, which is way too many for Major League Baseball, but minor league baseball started doing that in the pandemic, and they've stuck with it with the 6-game series way too much. But I guess it's okay for minor league. I don't personally like it, but sometimes it's all right if there's a team I want to see and they're there for 6 games, especially on the road. If the River Cats are somewhere for 6 games and I happen to be there, that's a nice long vacation with tons of Giants prospects, 6 games. But still, I don't like it that much. Let's jump ahead a little bit here for see what Jomboy's talking about.
Team will play every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Baseball owns the weekends in the summer. That's kind of what they do. The American League will be playing their series Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And then the American League will have Thursday off. The teams will travel. The pitchers will rest. The bullpens will reset and regroup. And I will go on a date night with my wife. And I will know Thursdays, standing date night. Maybe we go see a movie on Thursdays. But I know that now that I can organize my life around it. As a fan, that makes it easier. The National League will have Mondays off, and they will play series Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
So for this realignment plan that Jomboy's putting forward, every team will have the same. Every team in the National League will have days off on, what did he say, Monday? I forgot, Thursday. And the American League will have the same day off as well. So whatever team you're a fan of, you know when they have a day off. And has it. Every series is a 3-game series, strictly 3-game series. And strictly, so you play 3, day off. Play 3, day off. Play 3, day off. Play 3, day off. Very much organized. Hey, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, unless you really hate the idea of changing from 162 to 156, and I'm not sure they're going to do that. But they're not going to do this. Let's just bear in mind, they're not going to do this. But Jomboy did a very nice job of putting together this idea, and so far, I like it. The American League and the National League continue to exist. There's a consistent day off. You know what day off your team's going to have every week. Nothing but 3-game series. So all this information I'm all good with. And by the way, check out this video. Go ahead, if you haven't, I'll link it in the description so you can see this whole thing, because I'm not going to play the whole thing, but just some of the highlights of his ideas.
The best part. The playoff structure. Now, everything that I am doing in this playoff structure has been done before in Major League Baseball or is currently being done in another league. I have invented nothing. I'm just combining a lot of really fun elements. 4 teams in each division will make the postseason. The league wants 50% of the teams in the postseason. That's what the NBA has done. I think that's what the NFL has done. That's like a magic number that the league has. They want to get to where 50% are in the postseason. You say, that's too many teams for baseball. That makes the 156 game season meaningless if so many get in. I have fixed that. I have come up with a structure that gives you excitement and interest the whole way through.
Now we're going to jump into the interesting part. I didn't really have a problem with his ideas for the regular season. What about the playoffs? 50% getting in, and somehow he's going to fix it. Let's check it out. But first of all, I don't see any way I'm going to agree. I already think there's too many. And you can say, well, it helps your team, like the Giants. We're going to talk about later in this podcast. The Giants, do they have a prayer of getting the playoffs? And normally, there wouldn't even be a prayer in the world. They'd already been mathematically eliminated practically by now, or they'd be very close to being mathematically eliminated in the old systems. But because so many teams make the playoffs now, not quite half, but almost half of the teams make the playoffs, and there's so many wild card teams that maybe Giants could still slip in. Is it possible? We're going to talk about that a little bit later. Honestly, I don't think they should have a chance. You lose 16-17 at home or whatever the hell that was. I don't think you're under 5. You're not even 500. And if half the teams make the playoffs, you can be 500 and get in the playoff. You can win the World Series as a 500 or under team. And if they do this someday, a team that's under 500 is going to win the World Series. Some team that's going to just get hot at the right time, because this is baseball. Now, that's the beauty of baseball in a lot of ways, that any team can win any game at any time, any series. And when you get in the playoffs, you got a shot, a legitimate shot. Not like in basketball. The super team's pretty much going to win. They're going to be in the finals. You know already the 3 or 4 teams that are possibly going to be in the finals going into the season. You just do, because the superstars can take over the game. You can pass it to them at any given time. They can take over the game every possession. Unlike baseball, yeah, you can sign the Babe Ruth in his prime. Okay, well, I don't know how Babe Ruth would play in this day and age, but let's just say whatever you can get the best player. I'm on. Look at Shohei Ohtani. Shohei Ohtani still got to wait his turn to bat. Shohei Ohtani's Ain't no golden at bat. What a horrible idea that was when that idea was hot for a couple of days back earlier. But you put Shohei Ohtani up there, great. He's still got to wait now 8 more batters to hit again. And you better have some quality hitters throughout those 8. We had Barry Bonds in his prime and in his super prime, in his juiced prime. His stats are insane. Giants couldn't win a World Series with him. That's all you need to know about baseball. So that is the beauty of baseball. Any team could win any game, any series. But that's also why I don't want so many teams to get in. I mean, we have to 50%? 50%? Let's continue.
Here we go. Now, I might lose some of you here, but hear me out. The first half division winner is in the postseason. 78 games. If you won your division, guess what? You got a spot in the postseason. Doesn't matter what you do in the second half. Now, you might not like the spot, so you're going to have to play good ball in the second half because you might not like the seeding you get, but you got a spot. The second half winner is also in the postseason. So say you're the Atlanta Braves and your whole rotation is hurt for April and May. Don't worry. You got to be the best of the 8 teams in the second half, and you can get yourself in the postseason. Hope is not dead at the halfway point anymore.
Now, that's ambitious right there. Now, I know that they've done this, and they do this in the minor leagues. So first half, second half winner, I never liked it. Makes a little more sense in the minor leagues because your team changes so much when people are getting brought up and sent down. And minor leagues are kind of a different animal. I still don't love it. Major leagues, oh, come on. First half, second half winner. What do you guys think of that? Maybe I'm just too old school. Like, this is just a little too extreme for me, but no, it's a full season, a full 162 or 158 or whatever, the 56, 54, whatever it is. That's your season, and you have to prove yourself over a full season. It's part of the game. You win in the first half. You start half. Like the Giants would have easily won the first half, right, this year. I don't know if they would have easily won because actually they're in the division with the Dodgers. But let's just say the Giants, who started hot this year, clinched a playoff spot in the first half. They were the first half winners. I don't think they were in first half. I don't think they were in first place at the half, actually. I think it was the Dodgers. But Giants were right there. It was close. They had a really solid start to the year. And then they would have clinched a playoff spot. And then the rest of the year, what? What are we watching? I'm watching the game. We're like, we just want to get to the playoffs. We're already in. And then you go on a tough streak. Injuries happen. You're like, oh, God, we're screwed in the playoffs. It's weird to know that we're in the playoffs. And I know that's minor league, but that's minor league. Minor league doesn't have too many hardcore fans. People I love minor league. I go to minor league games all the time. But I'm not like, thinking about the playoffs and winning a PCL championship that much. I do once it gets to that point, but it's not like the biggest of deals, right? The big thing about minor league is watching our prospect, watching our guys develop and hopefully someday help out the major league team. I think that's just too weird, first half, second half thing. I think that's too freaking weird. I don't like it. I get what he's saying. Like, you get injuries in the first half, got a rough first half, you still got a chance in the second half. This is not my thing, but it's an idea. It's an idea. What do you guys think of it?
If you think your team has it, if they can go on a wild run, then guess what? You can do it. There is still reason to tune in, still reason for your team to try, still reason for your ownership to get after it. And the first half winner, we got a pennant race in June. That's awesome. We got a pennant race in June. We got teams that came in 7th place in the division, but they got injury returns. And now they can make a storm in the second half. We've got interest across the board. And then the top overall record once you take those 2 away, right? Say one team wins the first half and the second half. Well, then the next 3 overall records make up the postseason teams. That's fun. We all agree. Oh, great. Let's move on. I mentioned seeding. Well, these will be the winners in the AL. The first halves, the second halves, the overall records. They will all get put in one list, and their overall record is how they get seeded.
8 of 16. Because remember, there will be 32 teams, so 8 of 16 getting in. 8 teams in each. That's 16 teams in the playoffs. Look at all these teams. It looks like a basketball. It looks like when you have that huge list of teams that make the playoffs from the East and the West, it's just you can't even remember all the teams that are in. Baseball, I just don't think that's the way to go, but I think that's the way. I'm not saying they're going to do this exact plan, absolutely not, but I think they will do where half of the teams make the playoffs. It's just absolutely insane. Jomboy's going to go on to talk about how those teams that just won the first or second half, it's a one-game playoff, so there's more. The same amount of time. There's more teams, but not more time that the playoff lasts. The playoffs still last about the same amount of time they do now, but you have the first half, second half team playing that one game elimination game. I did not like that when we used to do that. Stopped, I think, around 2016, 2017. We stopped doing that. MLB stopped doing that, but I get the excitement, like one game, win or go home. That's pretty, and in this case, when you have this many teams, you're going to do a first and second half. I'm okay with it here because you got too many dang teams anyway. Those teams don't even deserve to probably be there. I don't know, just depending. Sometimes the first half winner is going to, like he said, also win the second half, and it's just really weird. This whole idea is just insane. You have to make a lot of adjustments to figure out who's going to be there, and it's crazy, but. Yeah, the one game winner go home is probably okay for this structure. If you're going to have so many teams in there, you're going to have teams that don't deserve to be in the playoffs. I guess it's okay, but way too many teams, and I don't like the first and second half thing. His idea I liked for the regular season, or I could tolerate it, but this playoff stuff, way too crazy for me personally. I want to know what you guys think. Look, I'm old school. It is what it is. Traditionalist, whatever. I'm not even that traditionalist. Back in 1993, the San Francisco Giants won 103 games, second most in Major League Baseball, but they couldn't go to the playoffs because the Braves, who for some reason were in the West, even though Atlanta, last I checked, is not in the West, the Braves won that division. They got Fred McGriff, and they just won the division by one game. The Giants were still playing well. They won 3 out of 4 against the Dodgers, but they lost that last game in 93, missed out on the playoffs. And the very next year, they introduced the wild card, and I liked it. I didn't like the name wild card because I kind of associated that with football. I wanted to have our own term, but it is what it is. It's called the wild card. So I like that because then that would never happen again. If the Giants win 103 and they happen to be in the same division with another team that wins 104, at least they're going to win the wild card. We're going to the playoffs. So I did like that first initial 1994 alignment. 4 teams from each division, from each league get in. That to me was perfect. You had the winner of the West, winner of the Central, winner of the East. They go in and plus a wild card. Booyah. 4 teams in each. Let's go. Very nice, very simple. They play each other. Then the winner of each of those 2 series, they play each other. Okay? The winner of those 2 series, sorry about that. They play each other in the World Series. That's how I like it. So yeah, it is what it is. That's my thought, that I like the 1994 style best. We're never going back to that. We're only expanding, more ads on the uniforms. I'm going to soon I'm going to make a video on the channel about ranking all the rule changes in my lifetime, from the 10 that I hate the most or something like that, or the 5 that I hate the most and the 5 that I actually like. So something like that. We'll figure that out. But yeah, the whole expansion thing and realignment thing, it's crazy how that blew up. It's going to be nuts. It's not going to be until probably 5 years minimum. Like I said, the Rays got to get their situation figured out. They still haven't got. They're going to have to sell, and hopefully someone actually builds a stadium for them. But for now, they're going to repair Tropicana. They're going back to Tropicana. They're like, there's a lease, 3-year lease, and they're leaving. I'm not convinced they'll leave. I think they might renew the lease for a couple more years and stick at Tropicana until I see a dang stadium. Build a freaking stadium. But nobody wants to build a stadium. I guess they're finally doing it in Las Vegas. Stadiums were getting built like Legos earlier. Minnesota, build a stadium, boom. Tigers, build a stadium, boom. Everyone was building a stadium. Rangers built a stadium, and then they built another stadium. Everyone was building a stadium, and all of a sudden, like the A's and the Rays, they can't get it done. I'm not saying I'm smart enough to understand everything that's going on in the politics and all of that and the money and all that, but I just know a whole bunch of other teams got it done. But these two teams just had major issues getting it done to the point that the A's are now going to Vegas. But I digress. So that is some ideas right there for the playoffs, and I don't like them. And for realignment, not bad ideas for Jomboy. Interesting ideas all the way around, but the playoffs structure and all that, and maybe he's just trying to say that MLB's going to 50%, so he's trying to figure out a way to do it. But the first half, second half, I don't think so. But that aside, let's talk Giants real quick here to finish out today's podcast. If you're still here, the San Francisco Giants, what do they got to do? Do they have a prayer? Is it over? Is it done? Giants won 12-3 yesterday. Absolutely kicked the Cubs' asses in every way. Whisenhunt pitched pretty well, and the bats were there. Rafi Devers, 4 for 4, 5 RBIs. Giants have now won 4 in a row. What's happening here? This is a team that was I played taps. I was done with this team. I was like, we're out. We're finished. Giants, how many they lost at home that stretch? And they went to how many under 500? Like 8, 9 games under 500. It was so bad that I played taps. Now a lot of people are like, bro, why'd you play taps? Giants are hot. We can get it. We can do this. But can we? Can we? Giants are 65-68. Despite the 4-game winning streak. There's still 3 games under 500. Now, you can be 3 games under 500 in June and have a shot, in July and have a shot. We're in late August. There's only 29 games left to play, and let's do some quick mathematics here. And you see over there on the right, I looked up the last 3 seasons, which teams, and if you're listening to this podcast form, I'm going to tell it to you. In the last 3 seasons, the worst team to get in the playoffs in the National League, how many wins did they need? 2022 was the Phillies. They needed 87 wins. 2023 was the Diamondbacks. They slipped in somehow with just 84 wins. And in 2024, last season, the New York Mets slipped in with 89 wins. So between 84 to 89, in that range, you're going to need it. And I think this year you're probably going to need 89 wins, maybe 87, 88 will get you in. But if it's 89, this is pretty much is what the Giants need to shoot for. 89 wins will get you in. Let's say that. 89 wins will get you in. Giants need to go 24-5 the rest of the way. 24-5 the rest of the way. That's not realistic. That's not realistic. I don't see it. They could lose today, and all of a sudden they need to go 24-4. You go on a 2-game losing streak. I don't know if that's something that we can say is realistic. Is it possible? They'd get on the hottest stretch they have in franchise history. I guess it's possible. A team that just lost 17-18 at home not too long ago, or whatever it was. Maybe it wasn't that bad, but whatever it was, they lost. I can't remember. 16-17, something horrific. So, what about 84 wins, 2023? I don't think that gets you in, but let's just say minimum where you could have a prayer and at least get to the end of the season with a hope. At least you won't get eliminated till the last series. At least you're still got a hope in hell. They got to win 84 games. They need to go 19-10 the rest of the way. And remember, they just won 4 in a row. So essentially, they needed to go 23-10. If we go back 4 days, they needed to go 23-10, and yeah, they've won 4 in a row. They're off to a good start. Now they need to go 19-10 the rest of the way. That's not too realistic either, but it's possible. So, do they have a prayer? Barely. Because even if you get to 84, I don't think you're getting in. But look, if you're a Giants fan and you want a miracle, there's a chance for a miracle. I've never played taps and they've got back in it. I want to be wrong. I would love to be wrong. I would love to regret it. I would love to regret playing taps. I'm like, why did I play taps? I hope that day comes, but I don't think so. But it's possible, y'all. So all I can do is root for the Giants every single individual game. Win game tonight. Win a game tomorrow. Win a game the next. Win a game. Keep winning. Keep winning. You win 4 more in a row. You still got to go 20-5 to get to 89 wins. That's the hole they dug themselves in. It's bad. But I want to thank everybody for checking out today's podcast. Make sure to hit that thumbs up, hit that follow, hit whatever, hit all the buttons. You guys are awesome. We'll be back again next week. This is a once a week podcast. Talking baseball. Today we talked about expansion, possible realignment, and the San Francisco Giants. Do they got a shot? Is it possible? I'll give them a 1% chance. But, like Jim Carrey said, Lloyd Christmas, you're saying there's a chance. Have a great one. Talk to you next time.